Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. For those that don't know me, I'm Carolyn Vandenhoevel, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture. We're really pleased for those that were able to join us this morning, and we're also recording this so that we'll be able to share the webinar at a later time for others to be able to learn about the program that may not have had the time specifically this morning. We're joined from folks from the government, and they will be reviewing the Nova Scotia Loyal Program. So I just want to speak to that a little bit from our industry perspective. The program officially launched in the summer, and as an industry, we've long recognized the importance of brand labeling. We know that it's a powerful way to help tell our story, to build trust and connect with consumers with the products and the people behind them. So we know this program can help our industry move forward. And additionally, the conversations happening around impending tariffs, we also know consumers are paying even more attention to where their food comes from and where their products are coming from. So I think this program is providing us a unique opportunity to be able to join that conversation and find ways that we can leverage the Nova Scotia Loyal Program as an industry to ensure that we're readily identifiable in various ways. So this session today is intended to give an overview of the program, sharing the benefits, exploring practical ways that farms of all sizes can leverage the Nova Scotia Loyal brand and expand market reach and deepen consumer engagement. So we are intending this webinar to be a interactive webinar. And I do want to highlight, we've worked with Melissa over the past year or so, and she's been incredibly open to feedback and ongoing dialogue. So very much the department is committed to working with us to ensure the program is something that truly supports our industry. So we really do want to see this as an interactive session to have your questions answered. So before we begin and I hand it over, I'll just do the quick housekeeping items. Because we are recording, we are in the webinar function. So your mics and cameras will be off as attendees. So if you have questions, you can submit them through the Q&A function or through the chat function, and people will be able to engage with other participants that way. We also have the raise hand feature that you can use if you want to have the opportunity to come off of mute. And we're going to save questions to the end of the presentation, unless there's one that's really an in the moment thing that we should clarify. So I think that covers the logistics. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation, and we will hold them towards the end. And with that, I'm very pleased also to be able to welcome the Honorable Minister Colton LeBlanc here with us today, along with Melissa Quinn, Project Executive, and Danny Small with the Department of Agriculture, Director of Marketing and International Business. So I know, Minister LeBlanc, you're only able to join us for the initial part, but really appreciate you taking the time and the commitment that you have to this program and seeing this work for our producers and Nova Scotians. So I will hand it over to you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Carolyn. Good morning, everyone. Bon matin à tout le monde. It's a real pleasure to be joining you. So I want to thank you all for attending this morning's webinar to learn more about the Nova Scotia Loyal Program and how this program can help farms of all sizes and farmers, doesn't matter what you're growing, to increase your market and reach to consumers. This program has become much more than a marketing program. It is a movement, one that has become more prominent as we face the economic uncertainty that comes with trade challenges and illegal tariffs. If there is a silver lining, it is now more than ever that Nova Scotians want to support our local businesses and industries. And through Nova Scotia Loyal, we're helping them do just that. As Carolyn mentioned, Nova Scotians want to support local, and as I've referenced in some different interviews, there's some survey data that demonstrates that they're willing to spend more time and actually sometimes more money to buy local. So we want to help them do just that with signage and retailers, so the larger ones as well as smaller retailers. With our producer labeling program that was just announced a few short weeks ago, through our brand ambassadors at local events and markets, as well as through our online portal. And already we have more than 650 producers and retailers signed up for the program, and more are joining every day. We have a lot to be proud here in our province. And when you see the Nova Scotia Loyal branding, you know that the product is authentically Nova Scotia, and that means it's the best in the world. During this webinar this morning, staff will explain the eligibility criteria that we're using for our Nova Scotia Loyal program. They'll also explain how the application process works and how we assess applications. And finally, they'll explain what happens after your application is approved and what supports that we offer through the Nova Scotia Loyal program and what we have in place to help you grow your business, including, as I mentioned, our Nova Scotia Loyal producer labeling program. So I hope today's webinar will provide some clarity on the Nova Scotia Loyal program. And I want to thank staff being here today. As Carolyn mentioned, feedback is always welcomed through to Melissa and her team, and that's what we're here for. It actually has been the driving force to the Nova Scotia Loyal Producer Labeling Program that we announced, and it was to get the branding directly on the packaging, directly on the product before it hits the store shelves. So as I conclude my remarks, I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. And I want you to know that our government is working very hard to support you and all of our Nova Scotia businesses. So thank you to the Federation of Agriculture for being such a strong advocate for your membership and for providing us today the opportunity to present to this group. So most importantly, finally as well, thank you to our farmers. You are part of the more than $750 million industry that employs thousands of Nova Scotians and feeds a heck of a lot more. So thank you very much, everyone. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Minister. Okay, we'll get this up and rolling for folk. I can just get a nod once you can see the screen. Thumbs up or anything? Good, perfect, wonderful. Thank you very much. And I echo Minister's commentary on the Federation inviting us in and giving us some time and space to provide this presentation to you folks today. And to you folks for making the time to join us, whether it's right now in our virtual session or in a future pre-recorded session of today. So our objective today is to go over the Nova Scotia Loyal program with you, answer any questions that you have, and again, reiterate that we are very much an open book to any commentary and suggestions. So welcome those today or in the future. Nova Scotia Loyal is the Government of Nova Scotia's Buy Local campaign. It is a joint mandate with the Ministries of Agriculture, Fisheries and Aquaculture, Communities, Culture, Tourism and Heritage, and recently added Department of Natural Resources with the forestry sector as well. Our main objective is to increase the demand and consumption of local products and ultimately put more money into the pockets of our Nova Scotia producers. Now more than ever, Nova Scotians are looking for local products. Buy local movement is not new. What's new is that the consumers are pushing the agenda around local for the first time. Previous buy local campaigns were strictly around agri-food, beverage, and seafood. This campaign does include the arts and culture sector, the forestry sector, and our manufacturing sector as well. So we want to be responsive to the consumers' wants for local. We've provided a branding program to do just that. And our retailers are telling us that they're seeing approximately a 20% increase in the sales of local when producers or retailers are participating in the marketing program. Again, consumers are looking for local, but they want to ensure that their products are authentically Nova Scotian. So what we've created here is an eligibility criteria and an assessment protocol to ensure that products that hold the Nova Scotia Loyal logo are authentically Nova Scotian. And we want you as producers to feel that same amount of pride and care when you place that Nova Scotia Loyal logo directly on your product as well. An overview of the program, there are four main pillars of the program. So there's the brand rollout. So that is where producers can go online to nsloyal.ca and register either as a producer partner or a retail partner. And we'll go over that in more detail. We also have a suite of consumer loyalty and consumer support programs. So this is where we have our partnership with Sobeys Scene Plus, where we purchase Scene Plus points on behalf of 162 local producers on over 2,000 local products. So 1 week Every month, we provide 50 Scene Plus points on all Nova Scotia products listed in Sobeys, Foodland, and Co-op stores. We're also working with NSLC and Air Miles, where this month, for Craft Beer Month, we're offering bonus Air Mile rewards on a minimum 6 purchase of local craft beer products. We also have a 10% cash incentive. So we do that with online farmers markets. Currently, due to seasonality and due to the number of online markets that are participating, we have Wolfville Farmers Market to go and the Cape Breton Food Hub. We also seasonally work with the Cape Breton Center for Craft and Design and Taste of Nova Scotia to offer that 10% incentive. We're looking to grow that category, and we have some conversations upcoming for that. We also provided 135,000 $10 vouchers to all public school, homeschool, and Mi'kmaq students in the province last June. 38% of those redeemed vouchers were a first-time visitor to a farmer's market. And in conversation with market managers, those are becoming repeat customers once they've come through the door and experienced purchasing directly from our producer members. We also give out vouchers at consumer events like the Nova Scotia Stampede, the Saltscapes Expo, etc., teaching consumers to look for local in those mixed vendor environments and hopefully translating that behavior out into their regular retail shopping. We also have a brand ambassador team that travels the province to attend local events, whether they're consumer-facing events or industry-facing events. And we have attended well over 200 events over the past year across the province. The province is also leading by example with institutional procurement. So with Danny's team, with Department of Agriculture working on food procurement, specifically in schools, hospitals, long-term care facilities, correctional facilities, etc. We also understand that affordability is important for Nova Scotians, and we have a number of food security programs and the Universal School Lunch Program that are managed through Department of Education, Community Cultures, Tourism and Heritage, and the Opportunities and Social Development Department. And we do support that the best we can to ensure that those products are as local as possible. And then lastly, we're increasing accessibility for producers through investments in food hubs. So Department of Growth and Development has a program called the Community Economic Development Fund, or the CEDA Fund, where we have provided funding to two food hubs, the Halifax Regional Food Hub and the Cape Breton Food Hub, to work with producers, whether it's processing, marketing, distribution, things of that nature, to increase the accessibility of Nova Scotia products at multiple levels of retail. How do farms directly benefit from Nova Scotia Loyal? As I say, Nova Scotians are actively pushing the agenda, looking and demanding retailers to carry as hyper-local products as possible. So we're getting calls on a regular basis from retailers asking for Nova Scotia products to replace imported products on the shelves. Generally, once a consumer purchases a local product, they become converted and become a loyal customer to your brand. So if an imported product is sitting next to a product with the Nova Scotia Loyal label, the willingness to take that risk and try the local product is high. And again, that becomes a converted customer and a long-term customer. We do have merchandising teams that travel the province, visiting retailers of all sizes. So they're checking in on your products, making sure that they're labeled as local and reporting if there are out of stocks to make sure that those are replenished in a timely manner. There's also, again, opportunities to grow your retail partnerships. So once you have applied and become a partner with Nova Scotia Loyal, there is a directory in the portal where you can submit your information if you're looking to grow your wholesale partnerships. So you can put in your food safety qualifications and what your products are for retail ready products. And then we start to broker those conversations with retailers like Sobeys, Loblaws, Walmart, Costco, etc., and independent retailers as well, who are looking to have more local products on their shelves. And you automatically become part of the Buy Local directory, which is consumer facing on our website, so consumers can easily look for and purchase local products. Who can use the program? This is open to firms of all sizes. So whether it's direct to consumer firms, we have a number of assets that you can put out in and around your area so that people traveling the province will see the flags and the signage and pop into your location. You can have it at your farm stand, farmers market, CSAs, large firms that are selling into retail and food service and wholesalers, and connecting through our social media channels so that consumers can look for and find your products. From a brand rollout perspective, we're really looking to shift that behavior by meeting consumers where they are already shopping. So whether your consumer is already a farmers market visitor, or they're going to big box stores or independent retail, we wanted to make sure that Nova Scotia Loyal was present in all of those retail environments. You do just go on to the nsloyal.ca web portal to become a Nova Scotia Loyal partner business. Again, there's a stream for producers and a stream for retailers, and we'll go over that next. And right now we have 657 approved businesses in the portal. That was yesterday. We're all well over 700. So it's gaining in popularity, and folks are joining the movement. 21% of them, as of yesterday, were farm or farm-related businesses who have registered. Once you're approved in the portal, there's a number of products that you can order free of charge that are shipped directly to you to use at your business level. So stickers to put on your product, wobblers to put on the shelf, stickers for your business window, whiteboard signs where you can handwrite in information about your products, flags, fridge stickers. If there's tools that you would like to see in this toolbox that aren't already there, please reach out. We are a small and nimble team, and we try to make sure we can be as responsive as we can. These two slides got mixed up, so we'll start with the eligibility criteria. So the head office must be located in Nova Scotia, and or 75% of the business ownership must be held by Nova Scotia residents. And the business's primary activity is the production or transformation of a product, and you sell directly to consumers or local retailers. So that is for producer eligibility. For retailer eligibility, you must sell one or more products made by a Nova Scotia producer and be authorized to conduct business in Nova Scotia, so through Registry of Joint Stocks or otherwise, and that you have a permanent business location in Nova Scotia. In addition to that, products must be grown, harvested, crafted, and or manufactured in Nova Scotia and meet one of the following criteria. So wholly obtained is that a product is either fished from Nova Scotia waters or harvested from Nova Scotia soil, and is all inputs are wholly obtained by Nova Scotia. Wholly or substantially produced, so all the product transformation occurs in Nova Scotia, but not all the inputs are from Nova Scotia. So this would be, our craft sectors who, canvas and paint is not coming from Nova Scotia. However, the talent is creating the end result. Bakery products, we don't have a lot of wheat growing in Nova Scotia, but if the transformation is happening in Nova Scotia and the bread is being produced here, that would be eligible. Around value-added process is where a portion of the transformation occurs within Nova Scotia that adds significant physical inputs from Nova Scotia or alters the product to something new using inputs that are not available in Nova Scotia. So this is where businesses like our coffee producers, as long as they're bringing green beans in and roasting them and grinding them and selling them, that would be eligible. However, if you are just bringing in a product or importing a product and simply repackaging and reselling the product without any transformation of those inputs, that would be an ineligible activity. In addition to the eligibility criteria, we do offer streamlined approvals with a number of partnerships with industry associations. So if you have an active Nova Scotia farm registration, you're a member of Horticulture Nova Scotia, Taste of Nova Scotia. If there's industry standards like NSLC's local classification criteria, we have a number in the craft sector and the forestry sector as well. So when you apply, you get a truncated application online, and you get an automatic approval because we know that the criteria for those industry associations meet the eligibility criteria for Nova Scotia Loyal. It's important to note, though, although you are approved through the program, there are guidelines for the use of the Nova Scotia Loyal logo that you receive in the portal. So if you're importing a product during a shoulder season, you're ineligible to put the Nova Scotia Loyal product on that unless it is truthfully grown and harvested or manufactured within Nova Scotia. It's also important to note that this is a voluntary marketing program and not a certification program. So similar to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, if you're making a claim on your label or the Brand Canada standards, those are all voluntary. They're not, there's no inspection and enforcement end of things. However, we do have our merchandising team who are out in field 7 days a week and monitoring the use of the logo on the product. But it is ultimately up to the producer to adhere to the brand use guidelines that you do gain access to as soon as you apply for and are approved for the program. We did, miss this one, the cost-shared labeling program. As Minister said, we were hearing from a number of producers that it's great, we want to have the logo on our product. It's laborious to put the manual stickers directly on our product. So you can either participate by ordering through the online portal, or you can be apply for our cost share producer labeling program. So this is administered through Invest Nova Scotia. So producers who wish to print the logo directly on your product packaging, you can receive up to $3,000 and 70% of eligible expenditures. So that would include things like graphic design, print and production of labeling or packaging, to be able to put that logo directly on your product package. So you do need to apply and be approved for Nova Scotia Loyal Program first, and then you need an account with Invest Nova Scotia to apply for the program. And how can you support? So really it's around educating and encouraging your producer community and retailers who sell your products to register for the program. If there's industry or community events in your region or in your community where you would like Nova Scotia Loyal to be present, we welcome you to bring those opportunities forward. We're always happy to bring the buy local messaging on behalf of our producers into community, and to bring forward any ideas to amplify the program and feedback directly from you as producers and our retailers on the program. We are being as responsive as we can to consumer demands, retailer demands, and economic pressures that we're under. So again, if there are tools that you think would be helpful to you, we will do our best to get those out and get those into your hands. There's also a business tariff hotline, so you can go on and complete a survey to help inform our province's tariff response activities. So there's a 1-800 number or the website where you can visit and submit your thoughts and information there. And lastly, I open the floor to any questions or concerns that you have around the program.
Thank you, Melissa. So just a reminder for folks, if you'd like to ask a question verbally, you can use the raise hand function, which you can find in the bottom bar. Also, feel free to use the Q&A and the chat question, and we can ask some. So just while we see if others kind of type into the chat or raise their hand, I'll start with a couple of questions that we already had. So if you are a farm that sells to a processor or you're selling live cattle, so you're not necessarily selling directly to a consumer, is there a way to get involved? Is that having a sign at the end of my farm driveway, even though I'm not selling a product directly to the consumer?
Absolutely. So you can go on and apply as any under the producer stream, and we want to lift and celebrate all Nova Scotia farms and producers and educate consumers. So again, it's a self-serve portal. You can choose what assets in that portal are relevant to you, whether it's putting out the Nova Scotia Loyal flag, sharing on your social media, how people can purchase your product and find your product. Consumers really love to hear the stories of producers. So if you could share your story and educate consumers, we certainly encourage and welcome that as well.
Yeah. We have one question in the Q&A there. Will there be an option for bulk ordering of stickers as our busy season approaches, we go through more than the current max?
Absolutely. So there's two ways to do that. You can either send us an email and we can get that sent out to you. Also, there are suggested thresholds in the portal. You can add more than the suggested maximum. We just need to approve it on the other end. So it comes to us to be able to determine whether or not your farm is of a size or your operation is of a size that would warrant a larger distribution of the stickers. So happy to do that. And you do have those two pathways to access additional stickers.
I'm gonna go in a different order than they were asked, but just for continuity of conversation, is the program that is for helping printing costs now closed?
It is not. It's open until March 31st, 2026. There was a lot of misconception that it closed at the end of March past, but it is open till the end of 2026, and we are monitoring the uptake in the program, and we'll top that program up if required.
Next question. Could you speak to efforts to increase local and ideally ecologically produced food procurement in relation to free trade agreements, such as the Canadian-European Trade Agreement? My understanding is that this agreement limits public procurement projects to a certain monetary amount, 100,000 maybe. Thanks and appreciating this program so far.
Great. So there is a number of we do have a local first procurement policy under the program as well. So that's where Nova Scotia businesses receive a 10% advantage when they are competing for government contracts. So there are thresholds for goods, it's 33,400. For services, it's 133 and change. I can't remember the exact number. But we are working with the new interprovincial trade and the Canadian Free Trade Agreement thresholds to determine what the future of that incentive will look like. Danny, I don't know if you have anything specifically related to food and the work that your team is doing to add.
Mainly that we're participating in an interprovincial committee where we're trying to understand the lay of the land in terms of tariffs and trade activities. So nothing more to contribute at this time, but happy to take a conversation offline if people have specific questions.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How can your listing be updated without going through the whole sign up page of questions as though you're just setting it up?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
I'm going to make an assumption, and the individual that submitted can correct me if I'm wrong, but say if whenever I originally signed up, I wasn't growing a certain product, and now, I was just selling cucumbers, and now I have tomatoes. How can I update my profile to say that I have other products? That is my guess. Please feel free if that's not accurate.
Hopefully this will answer it but if there's a follow-up, certainly welcome that as well. We are working on making the portal so you can self-serve and update that information in real time as you wish to do that. So you can add your business logo, you can change any of the information, whether your location's changed, your product mix has changed, so on and so forth. So that is coming in the near future. Right now, sadly, it is a manual process. So you just have to shoot us an email and we'll go in on the back end and make those changes to your product listing for you.
I have a couple other questions that I have listed that aren't coming through. So people are welcome to ask questions or provide additional comments still. If you want to engage with Nova Scotia Loyal's social media or the marketing work that you're doing, how can we get involved? So as a farmer, can we send a note and say we'd love to be profiled or we'd love to participate? Or how's that selection process working?
Kind of twofold. One is we love to partner with industry associations and have them share with us the educational materials that you want consumers to know about your product. So if you have a commodity group or so on and so forth, we're building an annual calendar and absolutely welcome any educational pieces. They're probably the most popular posts that we do share on our socials is around industry education. And we're building that portfolio as we move forward. If you want to tag Nova Scotia Loyal, we do collaborative posts, with folks as well. We're building our story behind the sticker series. So you've seen a number of businesses profiled. By all means, reach out if you'd like to volunteer for that program. We have quite a few already completed. And now that we're in a new fiscal year, we'll have some more time and capacity to add to those business profiles. So absolutely reach out anytime, whether it's at an industry association level or commodity sector level or an individual producer retailer.
Thanks. Next question. How can consumers be rewarded if you are a partner business that doesn't have air miles or scene points?
Yes, that's been a challenge. We did do prototyping of various numbers of incentives in large retail, independent retail, and farmers markets, and consumers behave very differently in each of those retail environments. In an independent retail, point of sale systems are all different, so it's super difficult to create a one-size-fits-all solution for that. But again, what we're seeing is a 20% increase in the sale of local products, and this was pre-tariff data. I expect that to grow exponentially from there. So even our partnership recently announced with Walmart, they see the value in identifying our local products on the shelf and are seeing that lift in sales on behalf of our producers.
Next question. I appreciate meeting consumers where they are and therefore flagging local products in big box stores. Partnering with grocery monopolies like Sobeys, Loblaws, and Walmart, though, seems counterintuitive to bolstering food sovereignty. Could you explain how you will track the effectiveness of the campaign in these stores? Is the goal for local sales in box stores to meet the Nova Scotia target of 20% local food consumption? If not, what metric is being used?
Great question. Definitely, we're here to support our producers wherever they sell their products. So we do have, as I said earlier, Sobeys as an example, there's 162 businesses in Sobeys system that we are supporting through the labeling program. We know that consumers who are already purchasing from retail, getting them to convert to an independent retail or visit a farmer's market, it's not an easy task. So our objective in these large retail partnerships is meeting consumers where they're already spending their money and hopefully identifying Nova Scotia products. So when it's sitting next to an imported product, they make the local choice, or they have the opportunity to make the educated choice to purchase local. And most oftentimes they do.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to different places. I have some questions coming in various ways. Next question coming in. If you are a farm that sells into a retailer, what can I do as a farmer to ensure the Nova Scotia Loyal program is leveraged by that retailer, or what should I be doing as a farmer selling into that store?
Yeah, so we have a number of partnerships that have been established and announced. We have a whole slew of other partnerships that are in various levels of discussion that we're excited to move forward with. If you're selling to a retailer who's not participating in the program, advocating to that retailer to reach out either through the nsloyal.ca portal or to us directly. We work with corporate entities where we have a number of franchisees who want to become part of Nova Scotia Loyal. Once we see that those franchisees are coming on board, we then go to corporate and negotiate that on behalf of all of that particular retail sector or that retail brand. So yeah, advocating for the program, asking for the program. If retailers aren't participating, putting the logo directly on your product before it hits the store shelves. Again, for retail, we do provide the in-store merchandising. So that's a benefit both to you as a producer, knowing that you have eyes on your product all across the province, but also to the retailer who doesn't have to manage that aspect of the program. So it's a unique offering, similar to large national and international brands who would have merchandising teams that go in store. We're offering that on behalf of all participating Nova Scotia producers.
Are you tracking import replacement? How will we find out about the results of the program and when?
Perfect. And I realized I missed that from the previous question too around metrics, so I apologize for that. We are using 2019 StatsCan data as our baselines. We wanted a pre-pandemic baseline of the program. We will be analyzing that year over year. That data is a few years behind schedule. So we will be analyzing that annually, but we will be tracking that against that baseline of that 2019 of baseline. So Department of Agriculture does have some other efforts in the buy local space that they're tracking as well, but that is our main metric, as well as information that we receive directly from retailers who we have partnerships with on their individual store level sales.
I can speak to the department's efforts in this regard. So we do have, there's certainly some challenges when you're trying to track the consumption of local goods, primarily access to data, certainly private data that's available, which we don't have access to, makes it extremely difficult. So we did develop a methodology over the last few years when we partnered with an organization called CAFI, and it was more of a consumer-based survey that went out and asked consumers about where they shop, how much do they spend, and whatnot. And so we've been using that to kind of track the direction of local purchases. The model is continually reviewed, and we're looking at is this effective? Is this really answering the questions that we have around metrics? So we're continuing to review that methodology to see if we're going to continue to use it or not. On the institutional procurement side, we've also developed a methodology where we have access to publicly funded institutions' data, and we've recently went through a pilot with 78 participating institutions to try and measure how much they're currently sourcing local. And so that's still I guess a project that's underway, and we'll be happy to speak to results once it's complete.
Thank you. And just for folks, if I don't do a follow-up, I know Melissa just said you have forgot to answer that. Feel free to put it back in the question, because I'm trying to read and listen at the same time. So I might not necessarily be always catching that as the moderator. So the next question is, we offer a CSA program and are wondering if there would be an option for us to add the 10% Nova Scotia Loyal incentive with our customers, similar to the online portal for farmers markets, as well that the food hubs are offering, and perhaps not just CSAs, but the on-farm markets.
Absolutely. We're having a conversation later this afternoon with respect to CSAs to examine what we can do in that space. So again, genuinely extend the olive branch to please reach out if you have ideas of how we can collaborate around those pieces. We do need a nonprofit or industry association lead to take that work on. So with the Farmers Market Association of Nova Scotia, with individual farmers markets who are aggregating sales on behalf of a number of Nova Scotia producers. So if there are other ways we can expand the program, we are actively looking for more partners around that 10% incentive.
Just circling back to the question on reward for shopping at those retailers that don't have the air miles or Scene. Have you decided it's just too hard to do, or are there opportunities? Are you still working on that, or could you offer Visa gift cards or such?
In our prototyping and in our consultation with independent retailers, the consensus was it was too much of a distraction from their business operation to bring that into their operation. I'm open to discussions around, future expansion of the program. That data is a couple of years old now, and the economy has changed a little bit. So we can certainly revisit that. But at that time, the independent retailers who participated in the prototyping and in the consultation did feel that the branding was the best route for independent retail at that time.
Just the comment related to that. So when a customer purchases a $2,000 slide of beef, that's a big purchase, and it would be great to see if they could be rewarded for that local purchase. So kind of follow-up comment to that.
Right.
And to Melissa's point, and folks obviously can reach out directly to Melissa or to Danny as well, but you're also welcome to provide feedback back to us as the Federation, and if there's a way that we can bring people together to have those conversations, to also kind of support that dialogue, we're happy to do that. So you can feel free to provide that feedback back to the email that you received the link from. And then
one further item, Carolyn, was We also have a number of ag reps that are located across regions throughout the province, and they're working to support the program by actively recruiting producers and answering questions. So if you know a local ag rep, you can also, they're an access point to provide questions and whatnot.
Thanks. And then next question, I may have missed it, but are there farm signs available for placing by mailbox or laneways?
Absolutely. So there are feather flag. So there's either a ground spike option or a T-stand option if you want to have it inside or outside. There are your regular flag that you would put on a flagpole, and a number of signage options. And again, if there's something that you don't see in there that you'd like us to create, we're happy to have that feedback, because if it's something that would support your business, the likelihood that it would support another business operation is likely. So please reach out anytime.
I have a question, which I don't know if I read this out loud or just reviewed it because they kind of came in quickly. So if we already covered this, feel free. But are you tracking import replacement? How will we find out about the results and when?
So again, we're using that 2019 StatsCan pre-pandemic baseline as our assessment. We need that data to kind of catch up. We only launched the program proper in July of 2024. So we need to really judge our input efforts to the impacts that has had on the sector. But we are tracking that both from a consumer perspective and a retail perspective, but also from a primary input at the manufacturing stages as well. So whether it's a final product or an intermediate product input, we're tracking those, as well as our manufacturing capacity in the province. So all of those things will be tracked over time. Again, it's fortunate but unfortunate that StatsCan is the data that we're using, but it's the most consistent and the most rigorous that we have access to. We do have, the data from all of the partnerships that we have that we will be reporting at the end of every fiscal with respect to our incentives, but on the tracking and import displacement and the percentage of local purchasing, both as again at a consumer level and at a business level, will absolutely be tracked and shared.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions or comment. Maybe it would be possible for independent retailers to donate collective loyalty points to local food security programs in lieu of individual rewards.
In our prototyping, we did see that folks wanted an option to pay it forward, that especially at the farmers market level, that they felt that it didn't change their behavior. They purchased as they normally would, but if there was a reward offered, they wanted to be able to provide that to food security programming, as an example. So it's something on our radar. But again, we're 9 months old in our program efforts, and morphing and growing as quickly as we possibly can to respond to industry and consumer and retailer needs.
And just a comment here as well. I would love to hear the process, set up a meeting to better support direct-to-consumer producers in ways similar to large corporations are supported, such as Scene Points. So I guess I can comment to that. So we are actually having a meeting at 1 o'clock today to discuss some of that, so we can do some follow-up. And as a federation, I'll commit to ensuring that we can bring that discussion to get feedback from members as well. Kind of once we have that initial conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that wraps things up. So I just want to thank everybody for attending kind of in person, online, and I hope that those that are going to listen to this after the fact have the opportunity to ask questions. You can feel free to email Melissa with that information provided there, and also feel free to put questions into the Federation or through the Department of Agriculture. So thanks for the work that you've done on this. I think, we see lots of opportunity in this program and are keen to see how we can work with you to continue to enhance this program to support both our farmers and consumers in Nova Scotia. So thank you to Melissa and Danny for joining us, and thank you everybody for your time today.
Our pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, folks.